The mammoth matriarch is doing everything right. She has moved her herd upwind. She has placed the calves at the center. She has positioned the largest bulls facing outward in every direction. 40,000 years of accumulated mammoth instinct, encoded into her nervous system before she was born, is executing perfectly. And it is completely useless. Because the threat is not coming from one direction. It is coming from every direction. It has been here for 3 days. It does not growl. It does not charge. It just watches and waits and moves the grass in ways that make no sense. The mammoth matriarch is 50 years old. She has survived wolf packs, cave lions, and 2 volcanic winters. She is not afraid of humans. No mammoth in her lineage ever learned to be. And that single missing lesson never passed forward. Because no ancestor survived long enough to pass it, is the only opening the hunters needed. 12,000 years ago, the Pleistocene epoch was ending. The ice was retreating northward. Landscapes that had been locked under glaciers for 20,000 years were opening. New grass, new forests, new corridors of land, connecting continents that had been separated for millennia. For the megafauna of this world, it should have been an expansion, more territory, more food, more room for populations already adapted to survive ice, cold, and scarcity. Instead, it was a killing field. The creatures inhabiting this world were not fragile. The woolly mammoth, Mammothus primigenius, had survived at least 5 major glacial cycles. Its entire biology was an engineering triumph. 4-inch thick skin layered over dense fat reserves. A shoulder hump storing emergency energy. Molars the size of bricks that could process the toughest frozen vegetation. At the Wrangel Island fossil site in the Russian Arctic, mammoths survived completely isolated until 4,000 years ago, outlasting their mainland relatives by 6,000 years. The island had no humans. The correlation is not subtle. The woolly rhinoceros, Coelodonta antiquitatis, was equally formidable. Fossil evidence recovered from permafrost sites across Siberia, including a near-complete specimen discovered in the Yakutia region, with skin, horn, and stomach contents still intact, shows an animal weighing up to 3,500 kilograms, with a front horn exceeding 1 meter in length, built for combat. Its eyes were positioned for maximum lateral field of vision. It could detect movement at distance that would render most predators visible long before they came within striking range. The Irish elk, Megaloceros giganteus, stood 2 meters at the shoulder. Its antlers spanned nearly 4 meters tip to tip, the largest antler structure of any cervid in Earth's history, confirmed by skeletal remains recovered from Irish lake sediments and Siberian permafrost simultaneously. Not a fragile animal, not a slow one, a creature that had navigated predator pressure across Europe and Asia for hundreds of thousands of years. None of it was enough. Not because these animals were weak. Because the threat arriving in their territory was not operating within any framework their instincts recognized. The first rupture in the order of things happened before the killing even began. Homo sapiens arrived in Siberia approximately 45,000 years ago. They arrived in North America no later than 15,000 years ago, and the megafauna of both continents had never once shared a landscape with them. This matters more than almost any other fact in this entire story. Mammothus, Coelodonta, Megaloceros, all 3 had spent their entire evolutionary histories developing threat responses calibrated to specific predators. Cave lions attacked from ambush at close range. Wolves harassed from distance and targeted the vulnerable. Giant hyenas scavenged and overwhelmed. Every one of these threats had a recognizable signature, smell, sound, movement pattern, and every megafauna species had instinctive responses refined across thousands of generations of exposure to exactly those signatures. Homo sapiens had none of those signatures. They smelled like fire and something organic but unplaceable. They moved in coordinated groups at distances that no predator maintained. They did not charge, they did not circle, they did not behave like anything the megafauna immune system of instinct knew how to answer. At the Clovis sites across North America, Blackwater Draw in New Mexico, Murray Springs in Arizona, Lena Ranch also in Arizona, the bone assemblages tell a story not of panicked prey fleeing a known threat, but of animals that repeatedly, across multiple kill sites, failed to flee at all until the spears were already in flight. Researchers examining mammoth and mastodon remains at Murray Springs found kill sites where multiple animals died within meters of each other. Wolves do not produce that pattern. Cave lions do not produce that pattern. That pattern is produced when prey animals do not collectively recognize danger until it is already inside their defensive perimeter. The second mechanism is the one that separates this extinction from every natural predator-prey dynamic in Earth's history, and it has no parallel anywhere in the fossil record. Homo sapiens did not simply hunt megafauna, they reshaped the landscape those animals depended on. Paleoecological pollen records recovered from lake sediments across North America and Europe show dramatic increases in fire frequency, precisely coinciding with human arrival. Not volcanic events, not lightning patterns, but targeted, repeated burning that converted forest edges into open grassland, drove animals toward specific terrain features, and systematically reduced the habitat complexity that large-bodied prey species required for cover and carving. A cave lion can kill a mammoth calf. A cave lion cannot burn 300 kilometers of forest edge over 4 generations and funnel an entire mammoth population toward a river crossing that 20 hunters are already waiting at. The mammoth had no instinct for that. Nothing in 4 billion years of evolution had ever needed one. The third mechanism is the most disturbing detail in this entire story, and it appears in the bone assemblages themselves, quietly if you know how to read it. At multiple North American megafauna sites, skeletal analysis reveals a consistent and statistically significant pattern. The remains skew heavily toward prime-age females and juveniles. Not old animals, not sick animals. The healthiest, most reproductively active members of the population killed in disproportionate numbers across site after site. This was not random predation. This was, whether consciously engineered or emergent through accumulated hunting knowledge passed across generations, demographically catastrophic. A mammoth population can absorb the loss of peripheral males. It cannot absorb the sustained removal of breeding females. The population does not collapse suddenly. It thins, it ages. The calves become fewer, the gaps between births lengthen, and the herd that looked stable 10 years ago is invisibly already dying. Its end written into the reproductive mathematics of animals that will not live to understand what happened to them. The lesser-known fact that most viewers will not have encountered. Genetic analysis published from ancient mammoth DNA recovered at multiple Siberian sites reveals that mammoth populations showed measurable genetic bottlenecking, shrinking diversity consistent with isolated, fragmented populations beginning several thousand years before the final extinction pulse. The herds were not killed all at once. They were quietly fractured into isolated groups too small to sustain genetic health. Then, one by one, those isolated remnants were found. The fourth mechanism is the one that closed every exit. Homo sapiens did not arrive in one wave. They followed the megafauna across the planet, across thousands of years, through Siberia, across Bay Nedgia, down through the Americas, across island chains, carrying accumulated multi-generational knowledge of how these specific animals moved, where they carved, which terrain they trusted, which seasons left them vulnerable. A cave lion cannot teach its cubs the migration route of a mammoth herd. It has never personally followed. A human hunter who died 40 years ago can still, through the knowledge he passed to his children who passed it to their children, direct a hunting party to a river crossing the living hunters have never seen, because someone who is now bones described it accurately enough that 3 generations remembered. The mammoth's instincts were current. The human knowledge pursuing it was cumulative. That asymmetry had no resolution. If worlds like this fascinate you, every Tuesday and Friday, Liphonics recreates a new lost world of prehistoric Earth. Subscribe so no episode passes you by. The last woolly mammoth population on mainland Eurasia died approximately 10,000 years ago. On Rhinoceroses Island, isolated, unreachable, safe from the mainland pattern, a remnant herd survived until 4,000 years ago. Then humans reached the island. Within 1,000 years of that arrival, the Rhinoceroses mammoths were gone. The animal that had survived 3 million years of ice ages, continental shifts and volcanic winters did not survive being found a second time. The last mammoth alive did not know it was the last mammoth. It did not die understanding what had happened to its species. It simply reached the end of a process it had never been equipped to recognize as a process at all. That sentence is harder to sit with than it looks. Because this is not the story of prey that was too slow, or too fragile, or too poorly adapted for its world. The woolly mammoth was exquisitely adapted. The woolly rhinoceros was built for survival. The Irish elk had navigated predator pressure across 2 continents for hundreds of thousands of years. They did not fail. They encountered something their entire evolutionary history had not prepared them to encounter, and they had no mechanism to adapt fast enough. No individual animal can rewrite its instincts within a single lifetime. No species can evolve a new threat response in a few thousand years when the threat itself is changing tactics across generations faster than genetics can answer. You carry this story differently than your ancestors did. They lived inside it. You are the first generation in human history with enough distance from it to see the shape of the whole thing. What was lost, how completely and how quickly something that had taken millions of years to build can be reduced to bones in frozen ground that we are only now learning to read. The mammoths are in the permafrost. The short-faced bears are in the tar. The Irish elk are in the lake sediments. And the process that put them there did not end 12,000 years ago. Subscribe to Liphonics, new documentary every Tuesday and Friday. But this is only half the story. Next Friday, 74,000 years ago, a supervolcano erupted in Sumatra with a force that turned the sky dark across 3 continents for years. Crops of a world that had none, winter without a calendar, and the entire human species, the same species that had just dismantled the megafauna of the Ice Age, was reduced. Genetic evidence suggests to perhaps a few thousand survivors huddled in isolated pockets of a dying world. Next Friday, the Toba catastrophe, the day we almost didn't make it either.